Indeed, you so brazenly announce his demise. Your ceremonial singers recount the events preceding the demise of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, and you readily admit even to the non-believers that he did die. But I wonder what hits you so hard at the mere mention of the death of Jesus ﷺ that it fills you with uncontrollable rage. I would not have been so hurt if you had also shed tears at the mention of the death of the Holy Prophet ﷺ. But it is such a pity that you gladly accept the death of him who was the seal of the prophets and the Lord and Master of us all, but consider Jesus ﷺ to be alive, who pronounced himself unworthy even to unloose the shoelaces of the Holy Prophet ﷺ. There is none worthy of worship but Allah, and that Muhammad is his servant and messenger. Translator. And you flare up the moment one speaks of Jesus' death. In fact, it would be of little wonder if the Holy Prophet ﷺ were still alive, as it was he who brought the supreme guidance, the equal of which is not to be found in the world. He demonstrated in his person all the possible spiritual excellences, the equal and like of which cannot be witnessed even if we trace history back to Adam. The truth of the matter is that the Muslims, as indeed the entire world, needed the Holy Prophet ﷺ alive far more than it did Jesus ﷺ. His was the person so holy and august that at his death his companions were too shocked to believe that he had passed away, so much so that Hadhrat Umar radiyallahu unsheathed his sword and vowed to behead anyone who dared say that the Holy Prophet ﷺ had died. In this highly charged atmosphere, God granted singular light and wisdom to Hazrat Abu Bakr radiyallahu, who gathered all the companions and recited the following verse: Ma Muhammadun illa rasulun kad khalat min qablihi rusulu. That is, Muhammad ﷺ is but a messenger, and all messengers before him have passed away. Now, just ponder and try to understand why Hazrat Abu Bakr radiyallahu had to recite this verse in the presence of all the companions. What was the purpose of this exercise on an occasion when all the companions were present? I am sure, and you too will not deny, that on account of the death of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, the companions were terribly shocked, for they considered his death untimely and premature. They did not have the heart to hear the news of his demise. And then such a prominent and respected companion of the Holy Prophet ﷺ as Hazrat Umar radiyallahu was so upset that only this verse was able to dispel his anguish and resign him to the loss. Had the companions known and believed that Jesus ﷺ was still alive, the news of the death of the Holy Prophet ﷺ would have given them the shock of their lives. They were all lovers of the Holy Prophet ﷺ. They could not tolerate that any prophet other than the Holy Prophet ﷺ should have been still alive. How could they possibly reconcile to the death of the Holy Prophet ﷺ with Jesus ﷺ still alive? Consequently, when Hazrat Abu Bakr radiyallahu addressed them, their distress was somewhat relieved, and they went about the streets of Medina reciting the verse, feeling as if it had only just been revealed. On this occasion, Hassan bin Sabit radiyallahu wrote an elegy, a couplet of which reads: Kunta savada linaziri fa'ami alayya nazir man sha'a ba'daka falyamut fa'alayka kuntu uhazir. Footnote 14. O Prophet, you were the pupil of my eyes, with your death they have gone blind. Whosoever dies now is no concern of mine. What I feared most was your demise alone. Translator. Since the aforesaid verse of the Holy Quran had categorically spelled out that all prophets had passed away, Hassan radiyallahu too proclaimed that after the death of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, he was the least worried about anyone else's death. It was too hard for the companions to believe that anyone else should live and the Holy Prophet ﷺ die. This was something they were least ready to accept. Thus, it was the first consensus the world saw after the demise of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, which also settled once and for all the issue of the death of Jesus ﷺ. I have emphasized over and over again that this is the most convincing argument which establishes once and for all the death of Jesus ﷺ. The demise of the Holy Prophet ﷺ was too extraordinary an event not to have shocked the companions. We find that even if a petty village functionary, a neighbor, or a close relative dies, all concerned who, belonging to the family, the village, and the district, are overcome with grief. Then how is it possible that the devoted followers of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, who was kindness and mercy personified, who had been appointed prophet for the whole world, as stated in the Holy Quran, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ, footnote 15, and we have sent thee not but as a mercy for all peoples. Translator, Ya ayyuhan nasu inni rasulullahi ilaykum jami'a. Footnote 16, O mankind, truly I am a messenger to you all from Allah, who was an embodiment of truth and loyalty, and who demonstrated such spiritual excellences as had no equal, passes away, and his death does not come as a great shock to his devoted followers, who, for their part, so unhesitatingly laid down their lives, left their hurts and homes, kith and kin, and considered it an honor and a pleasure to bear the greatest of hardships for his sake. How could they remain unaffected by his death? A little thought and reflection would show the intensity of the shock and distress experienced by the companions at the mere possibility of the Holy Prophet's demise, an intensity which we can't even conceive of. At such an impasse, it was the verse which Hazrat Abu Bakr radhiyallahu ta'ala anhu recited that brought solace and comfort. May God reward him for guiding the companions of the Holy Prophet ﷺ aright at such a critical juncture. I am sorry to say that some ignorant people who are too hasty and precipitate in pronouncing judgment, while agreeing that this verse was recited by Hazrat Abu Bakr radhiyallahu ta'ala anhu, contend that Jesus ﷺ did not fall within its scope. I really do not know what to say to such ignorant people. They profess to be divines, yet they say things so absurd. They fail to specify the word in the verse which singles out Jesus ﷺ as an exception. Furthermore, God has said nothing in the verse which could lend itself to more than one interpretation. God himself defines the term qad khalat as afa'im mata or kutila, footnote 17. If then he die or be slain. Translator. Had there been a third option in addition to these, why shouldn't God have also added, or if he was raised to heaven in his physical body? Did God forget to add what they are trying to remind him of? We seek refuge with Allah for all this. This verse alone would have sufficed, but I would like to add that so intense is the love and fondness for the Holy Prophet ﷺ that even today his followers cannot help shedding tears at the mere mention of his demise. For the companions at that moment, the grief was naturally far more painful and poignant. To me, he alone is a believer who follows the Holy Prophet ﷺ faithfully and attains an exalted spiritual station, as God himself says, قُلْ إِن كُنْتُمْ تُحِبُّونَ اللَّهَ فَاتَّبِعُونِي يُحْبِبْكُمُ اللَّهُ. Say, if you love Allah, follow me, so that you become his beloved. Love demands love for whatever the beloved does. The Holy Prophet ﷺ died, and by courting death, he demonstrated that this was the tradition to be followed. Who would now wish to live or wish someone else to be still alive after the Holy Prophet ﷺ has died? Love for the Holy Prophet ﷺ simply demands that one should lose oneself in total submission to him, exercise complete control over one's emotions, and have full awareness of one's station as a part of the Muslim nation.